And you don't have to have that.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Look Up. I have a dear friend and someone that was in my top people I wanted to interview first. He is a Metcalfe County, Kentucky fixture when it comes to any kind of dirt work or non-farming. I know when we built our house years ago, you were right there.
That's right.
But I'm honored to introduce to you Donald Irvin Gilpin,
Right.
Don Gilpin. And tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. I farmed till I got up grown, and I started working when I was 6 years old, plowing with fair mules, plowed with mules. We didn't have no tractors back in that day. That's been a long time ago. We didn't have no.
Did you teach them the language? Ye?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, we did that, and we had 2 pair of mules, me and my daddy, and he bought a farm when I was 8 years old. And
Where was the farm?
it's out east of here, 6 miles out of Edmond,
Okay.
on going toward Breathing on 5533.
Yes, sir.
And we he bought the Margaret Heston place for $5,000.
How many acres?
It was almost 400 acres of it.
$5,000. 400 acres.
Yeah. And had a little trouble getting it bought. That time it was hard to come up with any money, and we didn't have it. We didn't have it, but we made it, and we cleaned it. We cleaned that farm up. There hadn't been nothing done to it for about 10 years or more, and most of it was rode up.
Mhm.
And we had a chopping axe and a crosscut saw in them mules and a plow. That's what we done it with, our hand. And we was a long time doing it, but we did. And I stayed with it until I was 18 years old. And I told him I wasn't going to farm. I raised some tobacco, never had a dime in my pocket. So I done me in the farm. And I didn't like the farming. And I went to work for several different ones that had machinery, bulldozers and things. I went to work for Shell Ogden. You don't remember him, I'm sure. And I went to work for Thomas Pelton. You remember him?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he is in the bulldozing business. I worked for him worked about twice.
Who taught you to run a bulldozer?
Well, really, I just kind of picked it up I worked in Indianapolis when I was 18 years old for International Harvester. And I had a good retirement for the state, because I didn't like it. And they went on strike up there. I come down and right across the road where that service state's down on 68 out here going towards Gurney's. Shell Boglin was cleaning that off. Big, huge trees in there, big beach and things. And I stopped and asked him about a job, and he said, well, he had the rest of work to do. And of course, I'd never run one, but that's what I wanted to do. And that's the reason I came back down here. And he said he'd help me to get started, and he did. Actually, Shelby was the first one that helped me get started. And I worked for him for a good long while, and then he got sick. And of course, he kind of went out of the business. And I went to work for Thomas Pelton, and I run in 61. I run a bulldozer there for a year and a half for Bob Reese, right down on one of the farms y'all own now.
Mm-hmm.
They started down there in November of 60. And I worked the next year for him all around over the county and joining counties. In 1962, I decided I wouldn't go run those there. I'd go back and go farming. And I started that one year of 62. I raised a crop of tobacco out here at Randolph and sold it that fall. And like $700 paying out what I spent on the thing that year.
Welcome to farming.
And so Johnny Reese and Bubby Miller had a grocery store there where the library is at, or part of where the library is at now. That you probably don't remember. Well, that was
The library is nice.
Yeah. And of course, they let me buy groceries there for that year
On credit.
on credit, and then I was supposed to pay it off the end of the year, and I like $700. I had enough to pay that off, and I know right then the farming was over, and I went back to and bought me one and started on my own after that. And it's 2 or 3 years there. I had a little trouble because I had to buy used ones. I couldn't afford to buy the new ones, so I had to buy one and work on it.
And work on it when you weren't using it.
Exactly. A lot of the time, pretty weather like this, you'd be broke down. You couldn't work, and as soon as you get it fixed, it'd go to raining. and but I stayed with Bob Shirley. Let me work down here when I didn't have something to do. And he's another one that helped me get on my feet.
I was gonna say now, Bob Shirley, he ran a lot of big equipment, didn't he?
No.
Just a repair shop.
That was Marsh Lane. You think about Bob was the head of the S.L. Line Shirley down here.
Oh, okay.
He that's where I got in with him. He was just building that building supply down there, and we was trying to haul dirt with dump trucks, fill that whole front. It's lots of dirt in there, and we couldn't make no headway with them small dump trucks hauling dirt. You could tell when you dumped the load is right in them. So Otis, her brother, he had a dozer, and I'd run it some. And he said, "Oh, we'll go over at Glasgow and rent a pan. You know what that is? Pull behind the dozer,
Yeah.
haul the dirt." So we up on top of the hill here at the fairground, we started hauling dirt there, and we hauled that year and got that all leveled up for Bob. And he said, "I said you just work for me when you ain't got something to do." And he did. He was a good one. And of course, I couldn't borrow no money because you had to go to the bank to get it. They wouldn't. Unless you had a lot, somebody to sign it on some land, you couldn't get a dime.
No, my dad had to borrow money from Raymond Brandstetter.
Yeah.
That's who gave him a start.
Yeah.
Somebody had to give you a start.
Somebody had to give you a start, and so he got me before I could borrow. When Johnny taken the bank over, that's when I got started, and that was in '61. I don't know if he'd fully taken it over then, but 61, 62, and that was about 63. Yeah, he was in there in 63. Johnny was.
He's been running that bank since '63.
Yeah, it had been about 60.
Interesting.
Oh, he was. He ran that bank, and when he got in there, I had no trouble. I could go, it's of course, he wasn't going to give none away, but
Oh, yeah.
but he if he was worth it, and he never did turn me down. So I'd try not to borrow something I didn't need.
Mm-hmm.
And we went on, and he'd been a good friend of mine since then. And every time I needed something, I'd go up there and get it. But before that, you go up there, I tried to borrow $75 from John, and he turned me down.
That's his daddy.
Yeah, that's his daddy. He said, if you don't get your daddy to sign it, said you can get it. But I didn't need it that bad.
You just couldn't be told no.
No.
That's what it is. You got to keep working at it, even when the listeners know.
You got to keep working at it, and I made it through that thing, and then of course I worked for the state 3 years. Before that, I started working for the state in '56 and worked till '58. And I don't know if you remember it when they hit the oil boom up on the Hickory Ridge up there. That's probably before your time.
An oil boom in Metcalf County.
Yeah, it's an oil boom. I went to work for Hard Roach and all the Howard, and they were good to me. They were fine. I drove a truck. Me and Jack Smith. I don't know if you know him, but he lived there in town, and we went up there and worked through that. The roughest time I ever seen the snow up to your waist, almost up to that. Now it was a bad one in '60.
Good man.
Oh, we had two big snows that year, and that was in early '60s. Don Allen was just born, and I'd walk from out there where the old spur station used to be on the Tompkinsville Road.
Remember that?
I walked from there to a non-drugstore to get milk for him. That's it. It takes you. It takes you a half a day to walk out there and back. Now that's how bad the snow was there for a little while. They didn't have nothing much to get it off the road with then, and it is all walk. And I mean, it is up way up from on you, and it was deep.
I don't remember many snows like that.
That's all the ones of course, now on through the early '70s, we had a lot of cold weather, but not as much snow. But now in '60, biggest snows I ever seen, and I never seen none that big since then. I mean, you couldn't go nowhere because they wasn't equipped to get it off the roads, and it's good. I remember that year, it was piled up in the courthouse yard down in front of the funeral home to wet last April, where they piled it. You ain't never seen such a
past Easter.
Yeah, it was it was a mess. And then went on. I worked, of course, it's trying to get into the floater business, and me and Bob, and we decided, or he did. I didn't. I know there's more than I could handle, but we found the bulldozer, and we bought it, and we run it. Buddy Acre, you remember Buddy Acre?
Yes.
Yes, he was a good one, and he run that for a while for us, and he decided he's going to do something else. I forgot. I think he was going to farm a little after that. So it was sitting most of the time. We couldn't get nobody to run it. They'd run it today, and then maybe they wouldn't come back for a week. And you couldn't do that. You promised people to do things. And I told him, I said, I believe we'd make more money. Just let me work instead of being there trying to show them what to do. And so we sold it to Ralph Delk, and they take it to Ohio. That's where he said he was going with it. And we sold it out, and we got, of course, I owed for a house down here, and I figured out my half of it was going to pay me out of debt of that house. So I'd rather want to sell it to get out, and have to make that payment. And I did. I sold it. I got that house paid off. Of course, it's burned now down here with the freeze where we lived at, and that was in '63, I think it was. And we went on, but I never had no other intention of farming it. I helped when they was raising Donna and raising tobacco. I'd help them work a little in it, but it wasn't no part of mine.
Don Allen, it's in him to farm.
Oh yeah,
It's in him.
he likes to farm, and I don't mind the work. It's just I never did have nothing on my hip. My hip was always empty when I just never did have on my hip. And then we went on and got to doing. I got work to buy a new one, and that's when I made money. I never made nothing some years since I was working on them too much.
Farming's the same way.
Yeah, same.
Fixing a junk tractor.
Or you can't get nothing done. You can't afford it.
No, you go get a part, little bitty thing, and it's $250. You're standing there going,
exactly. You're exactly right. It is today. It's unbelievable. And of course, I ain't got no equipment. I got some of the old farm equipment I had too when I did farm a little tractor. I got the old tractor down there, but they like me. They're old.
yeah, but they sure do have charm.
They do, and I still go out there and do things. But of course, I know he does the main part of the farm, and I don't. I just help him when I've been working the hay all this week, we've been trying to get a hay, and but it's been a challenge, but a good one. Look back, see all the things it's really.
But driving a dozer really just
Oh,
clicks with you.
I love it. I love it. I could today. Well, no, we still got a loader. We don't have a dozer now, but we still
Sold your dozer?
yeah sold it, and we still got a loader and a backhoe. We still got two pieces we use on the farm.
I was going to say, that's good farming equipment.
That's farming equipment. If we need them, we use them a little.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Donnie Butler bought the land across from us over there.
Oh,
And a lot of that was most of it was road up.
boy, he got that looking good.
I work on it some for them all along with them. And I enjoy getting on there. And I can still run it all. It's the biggest problem with getting on and off. It ain't.
Yeah.
Ain't exactly.
Now, did you always run an open station dozer, or did you have a cab?
No, I did not have a cab, and I tell you the reason I did not have one. And I dug a lot of basements under houses in churches all around in Dare County and toward the Monroe County and back in there and down around Senate. I dug several, and then on the Bell Ridge, I dug under churches, and that's the reason why I never did have a cab. And another thing, I could go to.
You mean the building was there?
Yeah.
You were digging under an existing building.
Yeah.
So you couldn't fit under it.
No, with that cab, you had to take them off, and that's the biggest job in the world. Take them off, put them on, and I'd go to farms, and they'd want you to clean out a barn or something. Other way, you couldn't get in that barn with it, and it furnished me a lot of work. But the ones we got now got cabs on them.
Well, now I got to ask you something. This is a girl that grew up farming.
Yeah.
Did you get into any wasps, bees, all that stuff?
Oh, everything. And I dug one up on mail under a house that I wouldn't do today for nothing. You couldn't hardly even think about it. It was a log house sitting on pillar blocks. It's on the sloping hillside.
Oh my!
And I wouldn't attempt that today. But back at that time, I didn't think about it. I need to work,
So it's a 1-on-1. It hadn't collapsed on you.
If it ever slipped in it, it would have.
Oh yeah.
If it all slid off in there, you're sitting on them pillow logs, and all the stuff like that. And that was the reason I didn't have the cab on it.
Well, bless your heart. See, I'd have a cab every day, all day for those bees.
Absolutely. Them bees and all.
They'll look for you.
You get into everything. Brush, slap you in the face.
Is that the hardest job you ever did? What's the hardest job you ever did?
That was the most dangerous one that I ever done. I thought worlds of times after that. I wouldn't touch it.
I bet you touched my heart when we built our house out the old Glassboro Road.
Right.
First of all, poor Robert had to blast every half inch of the solid rock.
I know that.
We were going to have a basement.
I know.
But you would come out there, and was it Nathan Gasway? Was he the little boy that rode with you?
Right. I got into lots of them blasting rock ones too. Jimmy Clerk Coleman's house over here, we blasted it out. And Jimmy Clerk Duncan, he helped a lot with that Joe Acre. He helped a lot. Now that they were two of the good ones that helped on them, and we went to Glasgow and dug some basement. I dug one basement for a doctor down there. I forgot his name now. but it's been a long time. But we dug one basement down there that you could drive the trucks down in and turn around. We hauled that dirt out of it. It was a huge one and deep in the ground.
Good.
It's right out of Glasgow, right the bypass around the.
Now, why did they want it so deep? I understand for tornadoes.
Yeah,
They wanted tall ceilings in their basement.
yeah, they wanted taller ceiling in my basement. That's what. This house here is only got 11 blocks, and if I'd went, I wish I'd have went down 8 more inches and got 12 blocks, and then you got plenty of height in your ceiling. But at the time, it's all right. It does what we pile junk in.
So you would doze it and haul off the dirt.
Yeah, yeah, we dug up that basement out there and to hold the dirt out of it with trucks. It's just so big, it takes so long to carry that dirt out. And a lot of it, they didn't have a place to pile it. A lot wasn't that big, you know, it didn't have a place to pile it. Always off a pile of dirt. Works only the week.
Oh, and what do you think about like where my middle son lives in Bowling Green?
Right.
See how they do it. They have to. You can't leave a teaspoonful of dirt or debris or nothing.
Oh.
They're all picky about permits.
Oh, yeah.
Do permits really slow you down?
No, it didn't. We didn't have to have none on the glass. So
That's fine.
we got it. I got called down and get it down that. Not buying permits, but it wasn't too bad. I think it's $25 if they taught you. It wasn't bad then. But that's the only place most all the other towns around, you know, you get right up into the city limits and didn't have to have permits. And
Well, you said something a while ago I really want to touch on. You said it so quick, but it was a big deal. You went to Indianapolis. Now, along with my mom had 12 siblings, 7 of which, 7 were men.
Right.
And most of them went to Indianapolis to work for GM.
Yeah.
Is that why you went?
Yeah, I went up there and worked, but I worked for International.
Yeah.
They were making the motors for the vehicles, and Wilbur Nance, a good friend of mine, we rode back and forth.
Yes.
We had the same shift. We worked third shift though, and Saturday morning we get off at 8 o'clock
A.M.
at a.m. and we didn't have to be back till Monday night after that 10 o'clock or.
So you come home?
Yeah, we come home every weekend. Go to he would. I'd ride with it. But we had the same shift, but we didn't work at the same factory. He worked at GM up there.
Oh, he worked at GM.
Yeah.
Why did everybody go to Indianapolis?
Well, there wasn't nothing to do down there, and they didn't pay you nothing, and wasn't nothing to do down here. If you didn't want to farm or carry them slabs out from the sawmill, well, that's the only thing it was to do.
Why?
There wasn't no work. Most people around here, back in our part of the country up there, they swap work with you, but first a dollar, they didn't have it to pay you with. They couldn't hire you, but it swap work a lot. I remember my dad swap working a lot, but.
Now, will you explain to them what swap working is?
Yeah.
I know it, but I do it for our audience.
Well, you know, we work for you till you get yours done, and then you go and help them pretty much the same time that, you know, within the day, that wasn't within the hour like it would if it's hard.
So you had to know your neighbors and you had to talk. You had to.
Exactly. And most of them have been there. They've experienced that because it'd been happening for a long time up there. Nobody hardly had money to pay you with. They just had to swap and work it out. And it was a good deal back then. So that's the worst job. I worked at a sawmill in 53, carried them slabs out away from that mill, van, a lot of it. You talk about a job now, it's a job. They installed too. You take if they had a big, you go by there and they had a big engine sitting there, you was fixing to go to work. So I worked that year for $3 a day. That's all it paid. It's something. $3 a day, and you get $15 a Friday when you got off. They didn't take nothing out of your check. You got it all. And you $15 in your pocket was like thousands in your pocket today.
See, I have great respect for you because you knew, just like me, you knew what you didn't want to do.
Oh, yeah.
And that's great motivation.
And I did not want to work no more at the sawmill. That was
That's hard work.
nowadays they've got the lifts and things to do everything. You know, you don't have to do that. But back then, and I used to go over to Dickerson's mill and clean out under the debarkers and all that stuff. And I worked a lot over there, but I done it all with machine though. I didn't have to lift it, but way back that's been several years ago. I don't know what.
Don, how has technology changed?
Oh, quite a bit. Altogether, technology has changed. 'Cause back in them days, it is all done with manpower, and now you got a machine to do everything. Just practically everything around a business like that. They got machinery there to do everything. Back then, you had to do all that lifting. I know I'd always dread though when they called me over there, they wanted me to clean that old burner out. I don't know what that is. That's where all the soda, they didn't settle it down like they do today. They burned it. They had to burn.
Oh.
That was a job. Don't think it wasn't. You go inside. This a huge thing there built out of metal. And of course, they kept there's a fire in it all the time, but all the sawdust and all the junk all went over into that. And then it gets so much stuff in there, you have to haul it out then.
Would they put the fire out so you could work?
No, that's
burning for your
burning. That is the thing of it. Whenever you go in there and get you a scoop of that stuff, it's just like throwing a 5-gallon can of gas in it.
Because it's giving it air.
Yeah, when it got that air, it exploded. You know, I mean, it went out. And they'd been trying to clean it with gasoline engines, and they'd burn up about 2 or 3 or 4 loaders.
Yeah.
And of course, I had diesel then, and it wouldn't catch a fire like that. I cleaned it several times for them.
Oh my goodness!
But back at that time, I needed it. I needed to work. I had to shoot it. I needed to work. But I had some good times though.
Oh yes.
And just I every Johnson County around me. I worked in every Johnson County around on Old Glasgow. I used to did a lot of basement over there and done a lot of work out down towards the dam down there. Did a lot of work down in there. But I found out why they was calling me down there. It took me a while, but I got called on to how they was doing it. If they called me up here to go down there to work, there's something wrong with that job. They wouldn't. Most of them wouldn't pay you.
Had already said no.
Oh, I got hooked down there a whole lot back in that day. They wouldn't pay you, so I quit going down there because if it's a decent job, somebody down there had it. Of course, there's some of them was bigger operators, and but the only jobs I get down there was I had to know who it was because they beat you down there. I don't think it wouldn't.
And I tell you, from running the Save a Lot all those years, I'd take people to court, bad debts.
Oh, yeah.
The court system isn't worked to where the business can get their money.
No, I couldn't. I never did try it, but I get letters or they went bankrupt or something other, but you had to go to Bowling Green, take you a lawyer, and you had to present all that stuff. I said, well, I had one. I guess the biggest that I had was about $4,000, which that was a lot of money at that time.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that time was a lot of money, but by the time you hired a lawyer and make 2 or 3 trips down there and losing your work too, well,
your time is money.
That's right. You need to be doing it. So it was good, but you find out after you work a while, you find out who's it'll do what they say.
Which are very smart.
Yeah, I found out pretty quick when they always be gone. I tell you one fella, the panties fella, I guess that's ever around you wouldn't have maybe thought that was Clyde Faulkner. If he, I'd work for him sometime a week at the time, and he had farms everywhere, you know, and I'd work, and he'd say, "If you, are you going to get on this today?" I said, "Yeah, I think I will." The same, he'd never be gone. He'd always be there. But a lot of word. Yeah, but a lot of them would. They had to go somewhere, you know, and bless you. When you get on, you still would be empty pocket. But just stuff like that, I remember. But now Clyde was one of the, yeah, I had some good ones. He wasn't the only one, but yeah, but I had good people. I had, yeah, I people had the whole county. Most of it was good. You know. Now the funny thing is, you're still farming. Yeah. How old are you? I'm 9 years old. Oh, that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. And I'm glad to get up to there, but I can tell this last year when it really, up until then, I didn't have ache or pain hardly, you know. Oh, you lucky thing. Yeah, I didn't, but when it did, but I still do good. I'm hoping for the pay all week and drive for now driving tractors. I can do that, but if I get up there and go to walking, I go down on that hill and try to get back up. I get out of wind. Okay. Well, at 90, I can kind of see. But, you know, I don't have no complaint. And I know Don Allen loves having you with him. I said, you've got this big rock and roll guy. That was my epiphany. Epitome of life was get to watch them play. Oh, yeah. And now his rock and roll is farming. It's in the farming business. I don't know if I ain't heard him say about him even playing some music nowhere. In a good while. Him and Randy Rush. Oh my goodness, I love that. Oh, but what I want to ask you is, you've done farming and dozing your whole life, and you're a wonderful family man. Yes. But what has the land told you? What is the land? Because my favorite thing is getting out on the farm. Getting on the farm. Well, I just like to see the change. You go out on the farm and do something, you see the change that where you done things and all. It's just a change in it. You know, you grow stuff on the farm and it's just things like that. But you see so much of the stuff. I went into places where you have to look straight up to see the sun. Next thing you know, this stuff growing on that land. And I think it's just a great challenge to I do totally agree with you. I love that. I do. I do. And I'm a big chainsaw person. Oh. I've got 5 chainsaws. I love chainsaw. You know, I can't use a chainsaw now. Well, no, it jars you so much. Well, I had that face maker put in. Whoa, yeah, you can't use a chainsaw. No, but have you seen a lot of invasive species come in, invasive trees? And we have a lot of woody bushes now in our pastures. Exactly. You didn't see it. What's up with that? I don't know. It just stuff everywhere, and they tell me now. I don't really know that, but along the side of the roads out here, that there's a poison weed bush or whatever it is. Is that old hemlock? Is that what it is? It's that poison hemlock. Yeah, that's what I've heard now. I don't know if it gets scattered over things, but it'll be bad. Yes. It will. And it stinks. When you cut it down, it stinks. I see it out there, but I've never been around it. But it's beginning to come out here next to Mark Park along the side of the road. Yeah. You know. Oh, you sit on the sides of roads. You're right. You can smell it. It smells. It has a really strong smell. Well, I believe somebody else told me that it really had a strong smell to it. Oh, yeah. My son and his wife, both are environmental people. Right. And they were saying that we have more invasive species now than we've ever had. And that everybody needs to do their part. I think killing them and cutting them back. Yeah, I think so. We got groundhogs out there around the barns. We have, boy, that's a mess sometimes. They'll take a barn down. Yeah, they will. They'll tear a barn down. They sure will. we've got them out there too.
I call Robert Yosemite Sam. Get that Wesley grandpa. But we have.
Luckily, we killed 3 this past week out there.
A lot of them, just like that, invasive. I mean, now he's been relocating them, but goodness,
it's hard. It's hard to do. You know, a few years ago they were pretty bad, and then they kind of slowed down, and now they're starting back.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we stored some corn out there, and
they do like that corn.
Oh, they like that corn. So.
Now I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to ask you a question. What would you tell yourself when you were a teenager that you wish somebody had told you? Because these are kind of geared toward teenagers. You know, what am I going to do with my life? You plainly, through your story, you didn't like doing it. You wanted to do something you like.
And that's what I had on my mind all the time with the fool of machinery. And where I went to school now, I went to a one-room schoolhouse out in the county. That's old school in the yard. But they were Davises from Cameronville had a big sawmill out there pretty close to it, and they were logging and all that stuff back there. Of course, they didn't have a machinery much. They got trucks to haul those logs with. After World War II, they started selling some of the tandem trucks, which we never seen nothing like that around here, and they were hauling logs, but that was my thing. That's the reason I quit from up at the International Harbor at Indianapolis, because to be outside, I didn't want an inside job or nothing, and I wanted to fool with machinery. And that was
that was your motivation.
All the time was run bulldozers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was, and I enjoyed it too.
But you know, a lot of people get stuck in a job they don't like, and they won't leave it. That's what I don't understand.
No, I didn't like that, but that was my whole thing. And after 62, I never had nothing in the farm, even before I bought the farm. But it is a good deal when I bought it, and I cleaned it. It was all rolled up, and I cleaned it up as time went on, you know, and have a little extra time. I'd go out and clean a little on it.
Not everything all at once.
No, I never done. I wasn't looking for it for the dollar. And I just wanted to get invested in something other, you know, to make a little. But I never did do nothing with it. He farms it out there now, and I know I just give it to him. I don't get nothing out of it. He just.
That's it's for. There's a song Eric Church and some other country music singers sing out Hardy. I think what when it's time to pass on. We're just shepherds of this land.
He's right. Sure.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
and Don Gilpin, he's a joy.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much.
I just wanted to be outside over machinery, and that's all I ever studied on.
Best motivation there is.
That's right. So,
well, thank you everybody for joining us.
You have a great day.
Yes, sir. You too. That was one.